You received a call from an inmate at the Department of Corrections. This call will be recorded and monitored. If you wish to block any future calls of this nature, dial 7 now. To accept this call, press 5 now. To decline this call, hang up.
Well, hello, Miss Ham. How are you doing this fine day? Ah, yes, I did hear about him. It's definitely all over the news. He allegedly killed 18 people and then killed himself. Yes, I agree. I do believe he had some issues. There was things, little demons running around in his head, and this was his way of dealing with it. And it's too bad he wasn't able to seek proper professional help. It might have saved his life along with the lives of all the other people. Yeah, there's going to be debates about banning weapons again, and I've yet to hear anybody say that the reason they committed a crime is because they were able to legally purchase an automatic weapon. But I'm sure somebody out there is going to jump on board and you know making it illegal to buy certain weapons is going to keep people who pretty much live their whole life breaking the law. They're suddenly going to start following the law. I don't know. There's just things that just fly over my head, but they they're strong on this, and there's a lot of support for the rights that people have in the United States, and that's just the right. And to go out and ban something, abortion was another issue like that. Yeah, I know that it's going to pop up for quite some time. But I fight for people's rights. I believe in the Constitution, and if we go out and suddenly say that we need to change the Constitution and certain weapons are banned, I will definitely support it. It's just one of those things that I do. I don't want to fight a law that doesn't harm anyone. I mean, it could be an inconvenience for a lot of people, but it wouldn't harm anybody. But to actually support measures to take something people have a right to do and then ban it, eh, I don't know. Yeah, they've compared it to so many different things, and you got people out there comparing them to cars and to alcohol, drugs. But the bottom line is, I don't think banning these weapons would have helped his mental state of mind. And defunding police, opening up schools to all this hateful thoughts, and there's protests going on in universities and colleges and other institutions of higher learning and elementary schools. I think I'm just old school on that. When a person is under the care of their parents, they need to follow their rules until they're 18. That it's worked for centuries, and why change that? If my child goes
You
to
have 60
school
seconds remaining.
and learns to hate a group, I have a right to go to the school and say I don't want my children learning this. They want to make that decision in college. They want to make that decision in their married life. That's up to them. Okay, good, good. I'm glad you guys are discussing this stuff and working to get the word out. We need folks that are incarcerated that committed these crimes. We need them to talk.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I think people will listen. You'd be surprised. If you were to go to an elementary school and sit down and discuss your crime, I think you would have some very interested students who would ask quite a bit of questions, and it could help somebody. I'm sure we've prevented a lot of mass murders out there. It's just we don't get credit for it. Well, good. Well, thanks for calling, and keep spreading the word. Let's fix this place. Good, good. Yes.
Thank you for using inmate call. Goodbye.
Hello and welcome to AQS Inmate Call, and I'm your host Joel Wilborn. And in this episode, I just want to discuss some issues that I've run across through the years, and some of them keep popping back up. Like mass shootings and the regular debate that's going on. And what touches me about all this is that we have divided sides in the United States about preventing mass shootings, and both sides want to do something. They don't like reading the news where somebody runs out and starts shooting up people, and even if it's in another country where one country attacks another one and kills a bunch of people. And it's usually called the innocent people. The innocent people are murdered by these terrorists or these gunmen. And I'm on board with that. I want to stop this rise in killings. We need to do something. But in order to get anything done, we're going to have to come to the table. We're going to have to compromise. One side says this is what we need to do and I won't change my mind, and the other side says this is what we need to do and I'm not going to change my mind, and that's just that will not work. And one thing I like to compare it to is just that 100 years ago we had prohibition where we banned alcohol, and there was a lot of common things that came out of that. There was speakeasies, the crime bosses made a huge profit, things were smuggled in from other countries. It was a little difficult to get, but just think about that. There's little nostalgic speakeasies in my hometown, and you can go knock on the door, give a password and get in, and it's just kind of a throwback thing. But you kind of think, here we are doing this for fun, not because we're trying to avoid the law. We're just doing it to remember days gone by. And imagine what it was 100 years ago, where somebody would kind of sneak out around back, go down into some basement, and then drink homemade alcohol and dance and party, and then just stumble home and do it all again maybe the next weekend or something. And when that happened, a whole new culture was created. It was just kind of like, we want to take this risk, we want to have some fun, do something that everybody tells us that we can't do. And then they realized that it's not really working the way they wanted, so they repealed it, and prohibition became history, and everything became nostalgic, museum pieces and stuff, stories to tell your kids. And that's the way I look at it with this weapon thing. They want a nationwide ban on certain weapons, thinking that nobody's going to be using them anymore. There's millions of weapons in the United States, and banning their sale isn't going to eliminate the weapons that's already out there. In my home state, when they announced that they were going to ban certain weapons, people went out and bought them. And in the neighboring states, they upped their supplies. I don't see that as solving anything, but there's groups that are adamant about it. And when I talk to folks that are locked away and ask them, do you think these gun bans are going to work? All of them say, no, it's not going to stop a criminal from committing a crime. murder is illegal. That's the base. You should not be murdering people. And we could piggyback on that or pretend that it needs to be addressed, but murder is illegal. And it doesn't matter if you blow a person up or if you drive a car through a crowded mall. Murder is illegal. And that's what we need to enforce. We need to let people know that killing another person is not acceptable. And so when people get to the point where something we can agree with, like murder, rather than guns are the problem, people are the problem, society the problem, that we can point fingers all we want. We need to sit down and find out how we can stop this. And we've been compared to other countries, but other countries don't have this right to carry a firearm. And I know they want to change this, like, well, the firearm, when they wrote it, it didn't apply to the automatic weapon. Well, when they wrote freedom of speech, it didn't apply to social media. But freedom of speech is something that we take for granted now in the United States, and the right to bear arms is a freedom. We have a lot of freedoms in this country, and we need to work around it. We need to figure out ways to make it work for everybody. And we banned alcohol, and then we made it legal again. We could ban these weapons, and guess what? In a few years, they'll be unbanned. And then society will not really change. Because, as I've been told by many incarcerated people, if a person is hell-bent on murdering people, they're going to find a way to do it. We really think these guys are dumb. They're going to get up one morning and says, I can't take it anymore. Society's driving me crazy. I'm going to go down and kill a bunch of people in a school. But I can't buy the weapon I need legally, so I guess I'm not going to do it. That's a myth. That will not happen. There's people out there who use illegal drugs, and when they run out of money to buy the illegal drugs, they resort to alternative means to get the money or to get the drugs. I've personally seen that. And so if a person says, I want to kill a bunch of people in a school, they could make a bomb, or they could load up a rental truck with explosives and just drive right in. Or they can watch the news and find other methods. I mean, there's been situations where people hijack a plane and crash it. So they're just going to come up with other ways to do it. And we can't keep banning everything. Bombs are illegal, but I think they're going to gain popularity if a nationwide ban comes out. Because when I was in the military, I learned how to make a bomb. I learned how to use a bomb, and I learned how to safely detonate a bomb. A lot of veterans have this capability. And there's a lot of items in people's homes that can be combined in just the right way and kill a bunch of people. High schoolers know how to rig a light bulb to blow up. And yeah, they'll figure out ways to do it. It may take them a little bit, but it's not that they need to do this quickly. It's just that their mind is set on something. And so rather than forcing people to go underground, let's bring them out. Let's not attack the people. When the gunman goes out and attacks folks, fires them up with an automatic weapon, there's a lot of folks out there who call that person a coward. call him, a lowlife, and they'll just criticize him. But imagine if you're sitting on a bus and there's a person next to you just, fidgeting, mumbling, and looking out the window, and you're asking, "Are you all right? Do you need something?" And the person just says, "My whole life is in shambles. I don't want to live anymore." And for you to start criticizing the person, "Oh, you're a piece of crap. You're a terrible human being. You don't deserve to be alive. You should go to prison." That's not going to help. But that's what they're doing. And the people who are thinking about that now, of doing it in the future, they're not listening to this stuff because their mind is just, it's snapped. It's on edge. It needs something to bring it back to reality. And we're just not offering that. And so they're not hearing the things that they need to hear. And some people, some family members and some community leaders are trying to get the assistance that they need, but they're not getting it. When a police officer goes out to arrest the person, if the person's sitting in the back of the car, just not in the right state of mind, it shouldn't be calling to go lock the person up and building new prisons. They should be calling some professionals. If this person looks like there's something going on, and have these people sit down and work with the person. And I've said this many, many times before, there are a lot, I would say millions of mass shootings that we have prevented. If this were to go unchecked, if we were to do nothing and nobody were to stop or do anything about these, there would be mass shootings pretty much every day. But every once in a while, you'll see a newspaper report where a parent called authorities, and authorities came out, found some notes, found some paraphernalia, found something that indicated this person was going to go out and commit these terrible crimes, and stopped it. And maybe you, sitting on the bus or sitting in a concert hall, and just a quick conversation gave somebody the confidence that, yeah, they can make it through. Sometimes people will commit a smaller act, like kill one or two people, which is not good. I'm not promoting that. But compared to 18 or 20 people, it's a smaller act, and then they go to prison, and then they get the help they need. And they could come out and never do that again. I do ask people who are serial killers, "Are you ever going to do this again?" Of course, they all say no. And there's a couple that say, "Yeah, I'm not right. I would do this again." And to criticize people for having that kind of state of mind is not right. And that's not what we need to do. And we don't need to be focused on one solution. There's no one fix. It's complicated. It's going to take a network of people, quite possibly, to fix one situation. So let's not wait till it's too late. When a person walks into a school and starts shooting up folks, you don't want to say, "Oh, this person bought this weapon legally, and let's blame the parents and the manufacturers and the gun dealers." Oh my goodness. It was a bad state of mind. Something triggered that person to think that this was the best way out. It's like suicide. We have suicide prevention lines which save thousands of lives, millions of lives every year, but it doesn't always work. But it's there, and it's easier for people to call. At least we're reaching out. We're cutting back on the suicide. It's still going on, but it could be worse if those resources weren't there. What if we didn't have a suicide line let's say we have the suicide line, but we had another line for people that just felt bad. There's a lot of churches that do that. People will call in and they'll be revealing their issues and stuff, and it helps them too. But what if we just had a line that was similar to the suicide line, where if the people just needed to talk, I think teenagers have support lines like that, where a person can just pick up the phone and say, I don't like my state. I don't like what people are doing or saying. I don't like the posts I see on social media. And maybe somebody could talk and help them, ask the right questions and make the right statements. And a lot of folks, they just need somebody to listen. The folks that I help that are out on the street, I just listen to them. They're no longer locked up, and they've been out for a long time, and man, I'm so proud of them. And every chance I get, I'll tell them that. I'm glad you're not in prison. Of course, nothing to be proud of. The fact that what you accomplish in your life while I'm not in prison, that's not the big accomplishment. The big accomplishment is I've grown. I made a mistake, I learned from it, and I'm a better person now. And we need to teach kids it's okay to make a mistake. Everybody learns from the mistakes. That's how we grow. That's how we become better people, by making mistakes. And to chastise a person for making a mistake, not good. When I was growing up, a lot of the hippies said, what we need now is love. We need love to save the world, not war. And we can still do that. We can still show that we care. And social media is really not helping, because there's so many negative people out there, and they hide. And they're calling shooters cowards, but they're really the cowards sitting in their little dark room on their computer, posting a bunch of negative stuff, attacking people and attacking events, instead of saying, we know you have some issues, we go through issues too, why don't you tell me about it? Let's see what we can do to help clear this up. And maybe somebody somewhere is going to mention, I want to kill a bunch of people. I know that's been said. But we need to learn in school how to react to something like that. When we see these situations, what do we do? Who do we talk to? And how can we help the person? These people need help. They don't need to be killing folks. They don't need to be murdered. They don't need to be locked up. They need to find strong ways to deal with their situation. Well, hopefully you'll go out and you'll talk to your friends and family and teach people the things that you've learned, the mistakes that you've made, and let folks know it's okay. You mess up, let's work together and make it better. Worth a try. Well, go out and have yourself a wonderful day and make fantastic memories for tomorrow.